Alright, we are in. And let's have a look around. It seems that it's slightly better, at least right now, as we are looking at Chocobo at the start position in here. From the stream, he seems to be having quite alrightish villages, quite free on the left side. Yeah, it seems like that everybody is so far okay, nobody really complaining. Just a flare in all across the map so that the players actually know about each other and when they are going to be spawning and where they should be dropping their bases. So it seems like the Chocobo, or rather, not Chocobo, BM, as the red player who is going to be replacing Dlem, who was not Slam of course, is going to be coming into play. He is basically going to be replacing 141. Dlem was about 1950 and BM is basically the same. So it shouldn't be much of a difference as far as the performance goes. And well, of course, he's going to be sticking to this spot with the lumber camp. And it's not really a bad one because he's having quadruple wars, nice gold. So this is very good. Very good spot for him. He's having stone nearby gold as well in another occurrences of the stone as well. So this is actually not a bad position for him. Let's consider what the other players are and where they are. So Metal is quite close by to BM. He's also having, wow, pretty decent hunt all around him. And so he's having triple boars, double deer, and nice gold, quite close by as well, so not really bad at all. Influencia is going to be on the right side, and yep, this is seeming like that the bottom left is going to be the placement of the USA players. So next to his lumber camp, he's having also pretty decent amount of boars, so this seems to be a pretty good spawn for them. Also double hunt, gold in abundance, not really any kind of problem with that at all, with the stone as well. So yep, this is a pretty good base for them, all of them. And the last player to have a look at from USA is going to be Spring, with having tons of gold around his base, some hunt, not really that much as his ally. Yeah, he's having on the right side some extra deer, so it seems like that pretty much the same, and not really any kind of bad spot for them at all. Let's switch right now to Japan. Now they're going to be actually starting. It's going to be Chart on the very right flank, who is going to be having a decent double hunt with some extra piggies and plenty of gold in the front, but as yes, something at the back as well. Yes, something small. I'm just looking for his big gold, which is not really present. This is kind of far away from him, but still nothing really all that bad. Should be able to wall up and whatnot. He does have extra gold in the vicinity as well, which is potentially could be considered Bustosis, but yeah, I kind of think they can share if they want to. But yeah, this is kind of going for Bustos. He does have enough food right next to the TC with the boars, with some extra sheep and deer and whatnot. So this is really looking quite alright so far for everybody. As we are moving to the next to last player, that's going to be Chocobo. Decent hunt right on top of the TC. And of course some stone, gold behind the tree line in times 2 and 3. And where is his actually main gold? In the back in here. So not really any kind of problem. He's going to be finding it. Maybe even already did. Yes, he did. Through the sheep in here. So he's quite alright and knows everything where it is. Yep, a lot of stone and gold and whatnot. That's usually how Land Nomad actually looks. Land Nomad is a whole lot different from normal Nomad. A normal Nomad can spawn you in all kinds of weird situations and whatnot, whereas Land Nomad usually is in a pretty good one. But this is kind of sucky right about now for me, because I think that this main gold, he luckily has the golds on the right, the small ones that we were talking about a bit before for Chocobo, but it could definitely be something that May can use as well. But otherwise, yes, this is definitely his front gold. And having it behind a very thick tree line is absolutely horrible for him, so I'm not really sure he's going to be enjoying this map all that much. He will have to wall quite creatively to actually be able to capture the gold mine, but I don't think he's going to be mining all that much. He's probably gonna just rely on the smaller gold mines on the right, as they are still in good enough numbers and should be quite alright for him. Okay, so let's check what for example the civilizations are. Persians, Chinese, Mayans, Mongols for war, aka Japan A. For the opponents, it seems to be the same, right? No, it's different. Mayans, Mongols are the same, Chinese as well. Spanish, Spanish and Persians, that's the difference. So, can I guess, up to preference, there's not really all that much of a difference as far as both of them going for horses in the Imperial Age. So, yeah, doesn't really matter all that much. Potentially, there's a bit of a more opportunity for booming for the Persian. So I'm kind of liking it a bit more, especially since he's positioned in the pocket. Whereas for the Spanish, he's kind of forcing himself to go for the raiding with the Conquistadors, which I think is a bit harder on Nomad than it is on other maps, as usually the faster castles and whatnot are not really that prevalent and whatnot in here. Even though they do happen, of course. They're not that fast, and maybe, just maybe, the opponents could be a bit more ready for that than in other kinds of maps. Alright, so already a bit of walling coming up. So apparently Chart is taking this a bit more like Black Forest. Looking at the amount of woods and whatnot, he will definitely have to wall still on the right side to be properly impenetrable. Next to his TC, and then he's probably going... Wow, that's gonna be hard for him. It's gonna be very hard job for him to actually wall up towards this line. I'm not sure if he's gonna go through the bottom side or through the top side. Would be maybe expecting that he's gonna cut it to the top. Not sure. Gonna be interesting to see what actually he chooses a bit later when he's going for it. As for the opponents, they apparently are not so far doing anything like walling at all. And going to be probably just scouting around a bit. And yeah, they're just right now talking what they're probably gonna do. And I cannot agree that actually Japanese will be rushing as well. Because they so far did in both games, they rushed. So why would they stop now? There's not really a reason, especially since this is going to be their home map. So I would be really expecting that they do have some strategy prepared, and well, let's see how actually USA are going to be prepared for the potential early aggression that might come. So in the meantime, let's look at relics, for example. That's going to be 1-2 for Japan so far. Then that's going to be 1 for USA, second for USA as well. And where's the very last one? In more or less the middle, but much closer, of course, to USA. So I'm kind of thinking that this is going to be 3 versus 2 as far as the relic goes. So this was signaled in by Japan, basically where each of the players are and where they should be coming and whatnot. Yeah, right now you can see the double flare from Mage, basically just telling that they should be aiming somewhere into the middle in here. Okay, they're probably signaling walling, I'm thinking. Because right now, flare from Chart is coming right next to the walls. So I'm really thinking they're actually signaling where to wall. And where to potentially scout a bit with the sheep and whatnot. So apparently there is a bit of communication also going on by USA, what they're gonna do. So that's going to be... They have found some players. BM is going to be coming for Knights. That's Mongol. Okay, Castle Age, that could definitely work. And Big Boom for Metal. I kind of think so that he has to. Both because he's in the pocket and because the opponents are having Persians. And the Persian is absolutely definitely gonna boom into Imperial Age and into Paladin. So I kind of think that he needs to mirror that if they don't want to be caught off guard into something. So I don't think that the Conquistadors in the Castle Age are the greatest of choices, especially looking right about now at all the walling that is coming up from the Japanese team. So yeah, I think that's pretty good read of the game by Metal, even through the very limited information that he's so far having. And I do agree that you should be trying to mimic the Persian. And at the same time, when you are trying to mimic someone, it already means that you are going to be a bit worse in that. So I would really be favoring the civilization composition of war, aka Japan A, and especially the Persians in the hands of Chocobo in the pocket in there. I kind of think that he's going to be stronger than Metal. Let's see if that's going to be the truth. In the meantime, walling going to be finished in there pretty soon by Chart, at least on his side of the map, but he's still leaving open the side on the right. Is he actually aware of what's happening in there? That there's nothing. Ah yeah, he's already right now preparing it. Okay. So he's going to be plugging the hole, and so far I don't really see Blue doing anything like that. And for that matter, USA are not walling at all, considering that they actually wanted to, rather expected that they are going to be rushed. They're not walling. That's utterly confusing. I'm not exactly sure what they decided upon, but you can see already the forward build by Influenzina in basically enemy phase. Right now, unfortunately for him, Bustos is already having barracks as well, as they are advancing into feudal age, and this is... he's already in the next age, so that explains a bit. Going to be coming for some scout cavalry for a bit of raiding, but unfortunately for him, the enemy Chinese is already through as well, and he's coming for blacksmith though, so that's going to be faster castle. Unfortunately for him, he hasn't finished walling, and even though his allies have... Oh man, this might be actually a pretty big mistake right now by Bustos, not finishing with the walling at all. They probably don't expect anything like this from USA, because USA so far weren't that aggressive in both of the first 2 games. So yeah, I'm not really sure if they're going to be all that ready for that. Already trying to finish with the palisade wall, but he definitely has to hurry up quite significantly, because the villager is right now going to be coming there. probably going to be trying to build a wall exactly at the same spot, or not? Or is it just gonna be really fight? Yes, Zoom. Yes, as well, right? Yes. Right now I'm going to be walling up. Okay, so that's exactly on time. Well. Well, that's quite close by in there. That is quite close by. Almost got through in there. But still on the right, they seem to be plugged. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They're fully plugged. They are having some stable ready for knights and whatnot. And it seems like that there's going to be a very hard time right now for the opponents to actually get through. As Chart is already going for stone walls. As everybody is advancing into castle, as you can see 3-6 advances into castle. Just 2 are not advancing, one of them being Metal, who is just advancing into feudal, going for full on boom. We can see 27 villages advance into feudal. That's definitely quite greedy and aiming for the hard boom, and potentially that could be an issue for May. Let's check if he has scouted properly. Yes, he has. He knows. He will need to follow up. Or rather, not there. Here, yes, he still knows that he will have to follow up in there. And even though there is a bit of an annoyment by the scout, it's not really anything all that crucial, because of course those guys are gonna finish with the wall, and the scout will finish with the enemy scout, it seems like. Anyway, so Japanese seem to be quite ready for anything that is coming their way, as right now it seems like the Influenzino's actually attempt is going to be stopped in its tracks, which is a pretty bad news for them, because once you invest into something like this, you are always going to be falling a bit back. Whole left, yeah, not really. You can see all the villages already coming there. It's not going to be lasting, and definitely not until somebody from the middle of the map is gonna get there. Even though he's right now probably attempting to do something like that, I'm not exactly sure. He might. He's going to be way too late, and of course in that time when he gets there, it's going to be already no hole in the wall, as everybody is slowly getting into the castle, just reinforcing the walls apparently for Japan, whereas the opponents are not really walling at all, not really that much as Japan, not really that much. And especially in the middle, they are going to be quite wide open, as there is a bit of an attempt at walling by BM. That's about it. That's about it, and nothing all that significant above that. So what are going to be actually the strategies, as we are aiming finally into some kind of interesting part of the game? Interesting parts of the game with the castle ages and whatnot. Mongol still feudal. Not really. Or he just right now advanced. Could be it. That could be it, yeah, because I was May and I heard the advance time. Okay, so that was exactly when he was advancing. He was here in the advancing, or rather he was messaging his allies that actually he's not through yet. And looking at the villages, how's it actually right now in there with this? Chocobo at 32, Siege Workshop is being dropped by Influenzino. He's the Prussian, Metalteus at Spanish is at 28, just now getting into Castle Age, so obviously Chocobo is better off in the economy already above the Spanish player. As for example, Chinese, it's 32 versus 35, so Influenzia doing better than Bustos. Chart as the Mayan 32, enemy Mayan Spring 34, so Spring also doing slightly better, and May as the Mongol being at 27, and BM as the Mongol being at 30. Yep, you can kind of see that basically almost all Americans are doing slightly better than Japanese in the economy. This early in the game, before any fights, that's actually quite worrisome for Japan, I think. And it's going to be really quite heavily, it seems like, on Chocobo to somehow be the deciding factor in this game, because so far he is the one who is having pretty good economy. Quite the strongest right next to Spring. And it's going to be up to him to somehow survive the game, and hopefully for Japan 8 to also win it for them. In the meantime, of course, this is resulting into pretty decent push from Influenzina, who is advancing forward, ever forward, right now even with some siege. And the monks are pretty annoying, because they basically disallowed any kind of wall-in that could have been finished by Japan, and right now they're going to be wide open, and the camels coming through, and basically everything coming through into absolutely no army, because so far Japan are not really ready for this. Just a few monks, or not a bad army of monks, could be converted enough camels. Going to be coming forward apparently to get rid of the military buildings sometime soon. They are going to be in tough situation, and it's going to be fully reliant on trying to convert some of the enemy and basically use their units against the Mangonels and whatnot. So right now, let the stealing begin. One gone, that's going to be second gone, and probably even more. So far not, but the conversions, of course, are going to be quite deadly. Not even killing this Mangonel. I mean, the villager right there repairing it. This is very nicely pushed by Flu, and very good attack by USAA. And pretty big problems, I have to say, for Japan, because right now they are also on the attack, or rather under attack on the left through Conquistadors. And, of course, this ally, BM, this is going to be another huge problem for Japan. And considering that actually Japan chose this as the home map, I'm kinda surprised they are not really doing better. They're actually doing very bad. And even though Chart is already attempting to raid with the plumed archers, he's definitely not going to be good enough to deal with all this that is coming into the economy of his allies. And at this point, Mei with Chocobo are in pretty tough situation, and it's going to be all up to Bustos and somehow also Chart to protect them, because I don't really think that they can do it themselves. Already a bit of preparation being done, at least with Mei, to try to convert a few of the Conquistadors, but looking at the counter-conversion monks being ready from Influenzio, it's probably not going to be anything significant. And just this army, here you can see already the economy basically crippled for Mei. He's having 32 wills, 16 of them idle. 32 wills, having 32 wills at this stage is also pretty bad. Has he lost so many of them? He lost a few, about 3 it seems like, maybe 4. He lost about 4 villages, it seems like. Yeah, that could definitely be quite a lot, but still, he's very, very far behind. Even his allies, you can see at 32, his allies are 50-49, right now 50-68. Whereas the opponents are 47-48, 53-64. So, if it wasn't for Mei, the economies for Japan would be actually quite a lot better. As contrasting to what was actually like about 5 minutes ago, where the economy was actually better for USA. Quite noticeably, by about 2-3 villages for each of the players, besides Chocobo, I think. Yeah, the siege workshop attempted to be coming up, as there are going to be some conversions, and attempted also steal off some of the Conquistadors, right? Yeah, one Conquistador should be stolen. Yes, and it is. It's going to be very valuable, and right now Bustos is finally getting up as well with extra monks and trying to steal as much army as he can, but unfortunately it's not going to be fast enough for Mei, who's gonna lose the TC, so that's another huge blow to his economy. Already pretty damaged economy that he's having, and his year has built somewhere else. He's running with villagers, having TC at the back, so it's not crippling yet, but still it's already a pretty big problem, as we are looking at a bit of attempted trading by Chart in the forefront. And, well, unfortunately for him, Spring is paying attention to him, and it's looking like that this is going to be a bit of a battle between Mayans, whereas, in the meantime, Chart is at least trying to alleviate the pressure on his allies by trying to be annoying to at least influence inside his base. So, of course, right about now, we are going to be waiting for Mei to produce some Mangonels, but apparently not, and yep, they are just running away. All running away from this position, which is of course gonna be costing him in economy, as he will have to rebuild the farms, rebuild absolutely everything like extra TCs and such, and that's already a small victory for USA, as they are ever forward pushing the advantage that they can be pushing right about now. But still, it's an early effort, which usually means that your economy is going to be a bit dragging as opposed to opponents, and it's really looking like the Chocobo with Bustos are doing a pretty good job so far booming. 88 for Chocobo. That's pretty good. Spring is at 85. So the best economy for Chocobo. Bustos at 67. Chart 66. Whereas the opponents are 77. That's actually quite good from BM. And 59, 57 Metal and Flu. And the last player, of course, Mei, is at a horrible situation with 37. And trying to somehow rebuild. But it's going to be very hard because he's, of course, still being annoyed by Conquistadors from Metal and some other armies that sometimes find him. Okay, moving forward into Chocobo's base, but Chocobo is protected by plenty of monks. Is he actually... Oh, he's actually right now converting the Mangonels and getting shot in the back. Oh, this is pretty huge surprise, I'm guessing, for Influenzia. I don't think he expected this at all. Oh, well, that's sneaky from Bustos. It's quite sneaky indeed, as Imperial Age is going to be the very first one for Chocobo, and it seems like by quite some margin. And this is exactly what I said a bit before, that the Prussians are going to be a pretty good choice on this map, and especially since he's in the pocket, and he wasn't really raided all that much. This was basically his first attack on him. He's going to be very well prepared for the power spike in the Imperial Age with the Cavaliers and the Paladins, and oh man, it's looking like that USA might be biting the dust in some reasonable time, because of course Spring and Chart, they are bound in 1v1. And you can see chart is going to be having advantage because of faster Imperial Age. Yeah, this seems like really going chart's way, this way, rather this time. And Plumed Archers trying to raid the economy of the pocket players. Nothing all that significant, it seems like haven't been able to find anything. But it's really looking like that he's going to be concentrating on fully eliminating Spring and not allowing the best player from the opposing team, looking at the economy 103 quite easily. And in the last game, he was also having the best eco. Not really be any kind of huge factor in the game overall. And Conquistadors going to be stolen big time. Because he unfortunately isn't all that careful. Stolen, very nice. Very nice from Japan. And Metal definitely will have to be a whole lot more careful with those guys. He knows the monks are there in pretty decent numbers, so right about now I would maybe just even try to give up on this, because if Japan played it correctly, which I don't think they actually did, I don't understand the reason why actually some monks are not coming up to basically try to steal all of them, because right now this is resulting into annihilation of May's villages yet again. So I don't think that May is going to be all that happy about on their team speak about this. This is, yeah, well, could have received much better help. Is actually Metal gonna find him? Oh man, somebody dodged the bullet in here. Because definitely could have died. And conversion, is it gonna happen? Oh, I think he could have shot him. He probably could have one-shot him. But anyway, let's go to the middle, where there's not much happening, just trying to get rid of the remaining base that is still represented from flu, but pretty decent amount of monks are coming back, going to be preparing for something else. And of course, we also know that since on the left, POJs, aka Wars, aka Japan A, are very much open through May, they are still going to be units trickling in, and USA BME is also trying to use this by already having castles producing Mangurais, and yeah, of course, even some siege workshops to push forward with some ramps and whatnot. Imperial Age from BM is going to be hitting Paladins already from Chocobo. That's super fast. Much faster than the opponents are going to be having. So this is going to be massive power spike for Wars. Like really, seriously. Bustos also advancing through as well, so it's going to be more or less equal. As the Conquistadors are still a pain, and unfortunately I kind of think he's going to be suffering for the whole game. But it might not be all that deciding, because here again, Chocoboy will most probably save him overall. In the meantime, there's already a push forward by Chart, who is trying to get rid of Spring. The economy is so much better for Spring, 123, Chart at just 95. So that's really just a window of opportunity before Spring gets back on his feet. He already does have a pretty decent army, and all the Rams, they are just going to be absolutely soaking up the damage from the castle and from the Plumed Archers, so yep. I'm not exactly sure if Chart knows what's coming for him. For a moment ago, I was thinking actually that he would be better off in the fight against Spring, but right now it doesn't seem so, and it's going to be all about the better economy, much better economy, about 30 villages better for Spring, and that's a huge amount. And right now we are heading in with all the Rams. I don't exactly understand why he isn't following up with the Archers though. It just doesn't make any kind of sense at all. Like, why are you just sending those without anything? He was probably consumed doing something else. I'm not sure what. On the right, there's nothing happening, in case you were wondering on the minimap. So I'm not exactly sure why that happened, but of course, it gave some extra time to Char to defend this, and it's going to be a bit harder right now for Spring to push. But let's go back to the base at the top, where some monks are already yet again preparing for conversions from Influenzina, and of course, Metal still having plenty of monks, rather plenty of conquistadors. They are apparently going to be attempted to be converted if they can be, because of course there are quite plenty of them, and that means that they can easily one-shot all the monks. And with Mangurais coming in, they are going to be elite or not, but elite Chukonus are coming in from Bustos. With Theocracy even on top of that. Well, he's not giving up on the monks apparently. So we are going to be still continuing with the fight in here, and this is looking quite well for USA, but you mustn't forget that the Paladins are massing. They are not really fully upgraded. Elite Mangurais though are coming in, Iron Casting, just to increase some attack for the Paladins, but they are going to be growing in numbers. And Chocobo's economy at 129, Bustos 117, Chart already at 106. Yeah, well, the economies for USA are a bit better. 138 for Spring, BM 122, 103 Metal, and 116 Flu. Well, May of course still kinda the dish at 65, but he's slowly getting there. And yeah, this is a good opportunity of course, for USA to somehow deal damage to the enemy economy and through that potentially even somehow win. So far they're doing a pretty good job as the Chukonos, even though they are nicely upgraded already. Just into a few numbers, but they are already doing a good job. And with the Paladins catching them from the back, well, this might just be it from the raiding from the Conquistadors. And what's going to be choice? The Imperial Age from Metal. I'm not sure. Right now Imperial Age, but Scale Bardin Armor. Okay, so he's gonna be switching into horses. Into different type of horses, of course. Into those Paladin kind horses. And yeah, monks definitely should be ready. Has luring him into the trap. This is very nicely played. He's going to be stealing some paladins. At least one, I think. Well, apparently not. So good job. Good job, actually. Chocobo paying enough attention. But of course, with the castle coming inside his base, basically. And second one from Chocobo not really being finished. Well, that's pretty bad news for him. Because right now he's pretty much alone. And he's only waiting for Bustos to somehow get back into the battlefield with some Chukonos, but it's really taking way too long, and this push seems to be quite strong at this stage, and I'm not exactly sure if they're actually Japan are going to be handled, because it looks like that USA are exactly in the saddle in here. Looking back on the right side, it's not looking that great for chart. Not that tragic, but it's kinda alrightish, as we are apparently looking at Chocobo trying to help with some paladins, but so is Influenzia with heavy camels, so of course pretty good counter, and I don't really think that actually Spring needs it all that much, because he already does have halberd, yes, not really upgraded, you can see, just +1/+1, but the Plumed Archers also missing upgrades in the armor. Kinda interesting, chart is having fully upgraded already. This is going to be a pretty tough battle, and one that chart is probably not gonna win, because the camels are just a bit too annoying to the Plumed Archers, and even with the castle fire, with the castle dying pretty soon, yeah, it seems really good for Spring, and Spring is quite probably going to be very soon beating chart back into his base, and he will probably be needing some extra assistance from the horses, I'm thinking, rather than the Chukonos of the Chinese player, of course. So, Bustos is moving forward finally with some army and some castle to protect the stone, or rather the gold, and be closer to the battlefield, as of course Chocobo is doing what he can to somehow protect his economy, but he has already lost some villages, and much more importantly, he's having 56 villages idle. He's having like almost half the villages idle. So he of course is in a pretty tough situation as far as eco goes and production. Even though he does have the food, he doesn't have the gold apparently. And they are trying to get some stone in there at the back. And is the trade going to be starting sometime? Probably not, and it's going to be quite tricky. You can see they are not having all that easy time of it. Yeah, well, this is this is horrible trade, dude. This is a choke point if I ever saw one. That's not too great. And of course, right now GGs are going to be called because this push on the left is just a bit too strong, and it may not, pretty much not being present in the game. Even though he did get into 102 villages, it was just a bit too late because he wasn't present in the battle at all. And even though I think he might be slinging, yeah, well, not really. It just wasn't good enough, and the early attack from USA definitely worked out, and they absolutely smoked, to be honest, Japan on their home map. That's very surprising. I was quite expecting that Japan will be having some special strat or some special whatnot, but it definitely didn't work out. As well, even though on the right, it seems like the chart might be, with the help of Chocobo pushing forward, it was just basically Spring with a few help, or rather small help from Flu, and much more important battlefield was on the left. And unfortunately for them, Bustos did have the army, but it was just a bit too late, as the Elite Mangura is fully upgraded. That's just something that would have been missing. That would have been missing for POJ, aka Japan, for quite some time. From May, yep. Destroying the Mongol proved to be quite important for USA, so good job. And they are inching into lead 2-1, and we're going to be heading into game number 4. So let's check the post game. BM the high score. I'm not sure if he deserves it. I think actually the early push from Flu and Metal was what basically won the game, because they have eliminated May altogether, more or less. I think that this duo deserves the MVPs together. And otherwise, probably not much interesting stuff going to be in had to be post game. Past this castle for Flu by about half a minute, almost a minute. Actually, good difference. Half a minute against Bustos. Almost a minute on Chocobo, but the fastest Imperial Age for Chocobo. I was really expecting that that could be a game changer. And would be really saving Japan A quite significantly, especially with this strong echo. But somehow, we just couldn't spam enough of those knights. Weird. Was really thinking that would be a game-winning spike in there, because of course he was quite faster than the opponents. You can see by about 2 minutes. Yeah, that's a lot. 2.5 minutes. And Chart was also advancing quite fast, but Spring invested a bit more into economy and it worked out for him quite a bit better than for Chart. Alright, GG.